You lie still, and the night seems to widen around you. At first it feels like nothing more than darkness, a familiar ceiling of black dotted with distant points of light. Yet as your breathing slows, you sense that this darkness is not fixed. It is not a painted backdrop or a frozen dome. It is something living in its own quiet way, something that stretches while you rest, expanding without sound or effort. The universe, you learn, is doing what your chest does as you fall asleep. It expands. Not with a sudden push, not with a forceful gesture, but with a slow, steady opening. Space itself is growing, gently increasing the distance between everything it holds. Galaxies are not racing through a static void. Instead, the space between them is lengthening, like fabric eased on a loom, thread by thread, moment by moment. You imagine lying on a vast, soft blanket scattered with glowing beads. As the blanket relaxes, the beads drift farther apart, not because they choose to move, but because the surface beneath them is stretching. This is how the universe behaves. The galaxies remain mostly where they are, carried along by the calm expansion of space itself. There is no center of this stretching, no edge you could point to. Wherever you are, the universe opens evenly in all directions. This idea might sound large, but it begins with something intimate. When you inhale slowly, your lungs do not chase the air. They make room for it. In the same way, the universe does not push galaxies outward with a shove. It creates room. Space makes space. And in that gentle act, everything drifts. Long ago, scientists noticed a subtle pattern in the night sky. The farther away a galaxy appears, the faster it seems to be moving from you. At first, this feels unsettling, as though you were standing at the center of some cosmic departure. But the feeling softens when you realize the same view exists everywhere. From any galaxy, all others appear to recede. Expansion is not about a privileged place. It is about a shared motion, a collective unfolding. You can think of it as dots drawn on the surface of a balloon. As the balloon inflates, every dot moves away from every other dot. No dot is special. No dot commands the motion. The expansion happens everywhere at once, carried by the surface itself. Space behaves in a similar way, though without a surface or an outside. It expands from within, guided by rules woven into its nature. As you rest with this image, time stretches too. Expansion is not a sudden event that ended long ago. It is ongoing. Right now, as your thoughts slow and soften, the universe continues its quiet opening. The distances between galaxy clusters increase by tiny amounts, so small they feel almost like nothing. Yet given enough time, these small changes shape everything. In the earliest moments after the universe began, expansion was fast and fierce, a rapid unfolding from a state of intense density. As the universe grew older, it cooled, and the expansion settled into a calmer rhythm. Stars formed, galaxies gathered, and gravity began its patient work of pulling matter together. Expansion did not stop, but it seemed content to slow. For a long time, this made sense. Gravity, after all, is a familiar presence. You feel it anchoring you to your bed, holding the planet beneath your body. It pulls, gathers, and binds. In a universe filled with matter, gravity should gradually resist expansion, easing its pace like hands gently pressing against a spreading tide. So you might expect the universe to be expanding, yes, but doing so more and more slowly. A great opening followed by a long sigh. And for a while, that expectation feels comforting, like a story that knows where it is going. Yet the universe does not always follow the stories you expect. As you drift deeper into stillness, another realization waits quietly. The expansion of the universe is not just a backdrop for cosmic history. It is a clue. The way space stretches tells a story about what fills it, about forces that do not announce themselves loudly. Expansion is a measurement you can feel rather than see, a slow change that carries meaning in its patience. Even the word expansion can be misleading. It suggests effort, strain, or stretching to a limit. But the universe does not appear strained. It expands the way silence spreads in a quiet room, naturally and without resistance. There is no sense of hurry, no sign of exhaustion. Space seems content to grow. You imagine clocks scattered across the cosmos, each ticking at its own gentle pace. Expansion weaves through them all, unnoticed yet constant, like a background lullaby. Nothing jerks or jumps. Change arrives as accumulation, as patience made physical. This is why expansion can hide in plain sight, revealing itself only through careful listening and long attention. Tonight, you are practicing that attention without effort. You are letting the ideas settle into you the way dusk settles into evening, gradually, inevitably, without asking permission or making demands. It teaches you that the universe changes the way sleep does, slowly enough to feel timeless, yet steadily enough to carry you somewhere new by morning without disturbing rest you already trust. You return, for a moment, to your own breathing. Each breath widens your chest, then gently releases. Expansion and relaxation are part of the same motion. The universe expands not as an act of tension, but as an expression of its state. It is what space does when left to itself. As this understanding settles, a softer question begins to form. If expansion is so natural, so calm, why does it behave the way it does? What sets its pace? What tells space how quickly to open, and whether to slow, or perhaps to do something unexpected? These questions are not sharp or demanding. They hover like half-remembered dreams. You do not need their answers tonight. It is enough to notice that the universe is not static, and neither is your understanding of it. Both are in motion, unfolding gently, inviting curiosity without urgency. The night continues to widen, and with it, your sense of wonder. Somewhere in the stretched darkness, light is traveling, carrying memories from distant places. That light has been shaped by expansion, its journey lengthened by the growing space it crosses. And as you rest inside this thought, you begin to listen for those ancient signals, already on their way toward you. You remain still as the night deepens, and now the darkness begins to glow in a quieter way. Not brighter, not louder, but older. The stars above you are no longer just points of light. They become messengers. Each one sends a delicate stream of illumination that has been traveling for an almost unimaginable length of time, crossing expanding space to reach your waiting eyes. Light does not rush. Even at its great speed, it takes time, and the universe is very large. When you look up, you are not seeing the stars as they are now. You are seeing them as they were. Some shine from moments ago, others from thousands of years in the past. And some, faint and distant, began their journey before Earth had oceans, before life learned to breathe, before memory itself had a place to rest. You imagine light as a traveler without fatigue. It leaves its source quietly, carrying no luggage, no record of the path it will take. It simply moves, wave by wave, through the fabric of space. Along the way, the universe continues its gentle expansion, slowly increasing the distance between everything, including the spaces between the light's own waves. This stretching is subtle, almost tender. As space expands, it pulls lightly on the traveling light, lengthening its wavelength. Blue light becomes redder. Sharp energy softens. This is not damage or loss. It is a transformation, like a melody slowed until it becomes a lullaby. Scientists call this redshift, but tonight you can feel it as aging, as time made visible through color. The farther light travels, the more it stretches. So when astronomers see distant galaxies glowing redder than expected, they understand that space itself has changed during the light's long passage. The universe has grown while the light was en route. Distance reveals itself not just through faintness, but through this quiet reddening, a gentle sign that expansion has been at work the entire time. You let this idea settle like warmth. The universe leaves fingerprints on its light. Expansion does not announce itself with sound or motion you can feel. Instead, it whispers through color shifts so small they require patience to notice. Light becomes a diary written in wavelengths, telling the story of how much the universe has stretched since its departure. Some of the light reaching you tonight began its journey when the universe was young and hot, filled with energy and motion. That ancient glow still lingers everywhere, stretched so thin it now appears as a faint, cool background. It is the afterglow of creation itself, softened by billions of years of expansion. Even in darkness, you are surrounded by echoes. You breathe slowly, imagining these photons passing gently through your body, indifferent to walls and skin, asking nothing of you. They are not in a hurry. They arrive when they arrive. Their message is simple and profound. The universe remembers where it has been, and it shares those memories freely with anyone willing to listen. Light is honest in this way. It does not interpret. It carries information exactly as it is shaped by its journey. By studying light, humans have learned to read the history of the cosmos without traveling anywhere at all. Distance becomes time. Color becomes motion. Expansion becomes something you can measure, not by touching space, but by listening carefully to the light that crosses it. You imagine the universe as a vast ocean, and light as ripples moving across its surface. As the ocean slowly rises, the ripples stretch, widening their spacing. The ripple still exists, but its shape changes. So too does light adapt to the expanding universe. It keeps moving, but its form gently adjusts to the space it inhabits. There is comfort in this resilience. Nothing needs to fight the expansion. Light accepts it. Galaxies accept it. Even you, lying quietly beneath the stars, accept change as a natural state. The universe is not trying to escape itself. It is simply unfolding. As you sink deeper into this thought, you realize that light is not just showing you where things are. It is showing you how the universe behaves. The steady increase in redshift with distance reveals a pattern or rhythm. Expansion is consistent, predictable, calm. And yet, within that calm, there may be surprises waiting to be discovered. For a long time, the story seemed complete. Light told of an expanding universe, one that began hot and dense and gradually cooled as it grew. The stretching of light fit neatly into this picture. Everything slowed, everything softened, everything moved toward quiet. But the light, patient as it is, carried more information than expected. As measurements became more precise, astronomers noticed that distant light did not match the simplest expectations. The stretching was slightly different. The rhythm of expansion was not following the script written by gravity alone. Light hinted at something subtle, something additional, something influencing space itself over vast distances and long times. This realization did not arrive as a shock. It emerged slowly, like dawn rather than lightning. Each observation nudged understanding a little further. Each beam of ancient light whispered the same quiet suggestion. The universe might be expanding in a way that requires a deeper explanation. You feel no urgency in this mystery. Light does not demand answers. It only offers clues. The universe seems content to let its secrets unfold at a pace that matches its expansion, slow enough to be gentle, steady enough to be undeniable. As you listen, you begin to sense that light is not merely passing through space. It is interacting with it, responding to its shape and growth. Space is not an empty stage. It participates. It stretches, guides, and subtly shapes every journey taken within it. This thought rests softly in your mind. If space can shape light, then space itself has properties worth understanding. It is not just a backdrop, but an active presence. And if space can influence light so gently, then perhaps something influences space in the same quiet way. You let the stars blur into a soft field of glow. Their light continues to arrive, wave after wave, message after message. Each photon is a tiny piece of evidence, a soft-spoken witness to the universe's behavior over deep time. As your breathing slows, you feel closer to these ancient travelers, connected not by distance, but by shared existence within the same expanding cosmos. The light does not rush past you. It lingers just long enough to be noticed, then continues on, indifferent yet generous. You drift onward, carrying the glow of ancient light with you, and slowly the universe begins to speak in patterns. Not loud ones, not rigid grids of calculation, but soft relationships. Distances and motions begin to pair up naturally, like steps matched to rhythm. You sense that the cosmos keeps count, not to control, but to remain balanced. At first, numbers feel out of place in a bedtime story. They seem sharp, awake, demanding attention. But here, they soften. They become like stones placed carefully across a shallow stream. You do not need to measure each one. You simply step where they are, trusting that they will hold your weight. Long ago, astronomers noticed something almost soothing in its consistency. The farther away a galaxy lies, the faster it appears to move away from you. This relationship is gentle and proportional, like the widening rings formed when a pebble touches still water. Distance and speed grow together, hand in hand, without argument. This pattern becomes known as a law, though it feels more like a habit of the universe than a command. It does not force galaxies to flee. It describes how expansion expresses itself everywhere at once. Space stretches, and the stretching accumulates with distance. The more space there is between you and a galaxy, the more that space can expand. You imagine a long road made of elastic. Two towns close together feel only a slight pull as the road stretches. Two towns far apart feel a greater change, not because they are moving faster through the road, but because more road lies between them, quietly lengthening. Motion emerges naturally from geometry. Edwin Hubble does not set out to discover something unsettling. He is not chasing mystery. He is measuring. Carefully, patiently, he observes distant galaxies and compares their light. When he plots distance against motion, a straight line appears. Calm. Reliable. Reassuring. The universe behaves in an orderly way. This order brings comfort. It suggests that expansion is not chaotic or wild. It follows a simple rule, one that can be written gently and understood intuitively. Space expands evenly. Distance matters. Time unfolds with consistency. The universe, at large scales, is predictable enough to rest inside. As you settle into this idea, you realize that mathematics here is not cold. It is descriptive, almost tender. It does not explain why expansion happens, only how it reveals itself. Like counting breaths, the numbers reflect a process already underway. They do not cause it. They simply witness it. You sense the rhythm of expansion like a slow metronome ticking behind reality. Each beat marks a moment of growing space. Each interval feels the same. The universe appears content to keep time evenly, letting galaxies drift apart with calm reliability. For a while, this is enough. The story seems complete. Expansion began long ago and continues gently. Gravity works against it, pulling matter together into stars and galaxies, while space itself stretches everything outward. The balance between these tendencies shapes the universe's future. Nothing feels rushed. Yet as observations deepen, a subtle tension begins to appear, almost like a change in breathing you notice only after lying still for a long time. The relationship between distance and motion holds, but its pace carries a quiet surprise. The expansion does not seem to be slowing as expected. If gravity were the only influence, the universe's expansion should gradually ease. Matter pulls inward. Over time, that pull should temper the outward stretch of space. The straight line on the graph should bend gently, reflecting a universe that exhales and then relaxes. But the line does not bend the way intuition predicts. When astronomers look farther back in time, using distant light as their guide, they notice that expansion was slower then than it is now. The universe is not calming down. It is quickening, ever so slightly, like a sleeper whose breathing grows lighter instead of deeper. This realization does not arrive with alarm. It arrives with stillness. The numbers speak softly, but clearly. Something is adding to the expansion, something countering gravity's gentle insistence. The mathematics remains simple, but its meaning deepens. You imagine a calm river flowing downhill. Gravity alone should gradually slow it as the slope lessens. But instead, the river picks up speed, as though an unseen spring feeds it from beneath the surface. The water still follows the channel, still obeys the shape of the land, yet its motion hints at a hidden source. The universe behaves the same way. The relationship between distance and motion holds firm, but the rate of expansion shifts subtly over time. The stepping stones are still there, but the water between them moves faster than expected. This is where curiosity deepens without disturbing peace. The numbers do not shout that something is wrong. They whisper that something is missing. The universe is not breaking its rules. It is revealing that the rules are incomplete. You feel how mathematics, when used this way, becomes a form of listening. It pays attention to what is consistent and what quietly changes. It notices the universe breathing differently than predicted, not in panic, but in patience. The idea settles gently. Expansion is accelerating, not abruptly, not violently, but persistently. Space seems encouraged to stretch more quickly as time goes on. The cosmos is not coasting. It is being guided by something subtle and pervasive. As you rest with this thought, you realize that acceleration does not feel dramatic here. There is no explosion, no sudden rush. It is more like a long, gradual realization that the night is deepening faster than expected, that time itself feels slightly lighter. The universe remains calm. Galaxies continue their slow drift. Light still travels faithfully. Only the underlying pace shifts, almost imperceptibly, carrying enormous implications beneath its softness. You do not need to solve this tonight. It is enough to recognize the glow of mystery beginning to form beneath the orderly surface. The mathematics has done its job. It has pointed, gently, towards something unseen. You rest inside the calm order of the universe, and now your attention turns toward gravity. It is a familiar presence, one you have known your entire life without needing to name it. Gravity holds you gently against the earth, presses the mattress upward into your body, keeps the air close and the oceans gathered. It is the quiet agreement that matter makes to stay together. In the cosmos, gravity plays the same role. It gathers clouds of gas into stars, draws stars into galaxies, and binds galaxies into clusters. It is patient and persistent, never hurried, never loud. Wherever matter exists, gravity weaves invisible threads between it, shaping structure from softness over immense stretches of time. Because gravity pulls inward, it feels natural to assume it should slow the universe's expansion. As space stretches, gravity should respond by tightening its grip, gradually resisting the outward motion. The universe should behave like a ball thrown upward, rising at first, then slowing, then perhaps falling back or settling into stillness. For a long time, this expectation feels reasonable, even comforting. It suggests an arc to cosmic history, a beginning full of energy, followed by a long easing toward rest. Expansion becomes a story of release followed by restraint. Gravity, in this telling, is the gentle hand that eventually calms the outward flow. You imagine the universe as a vast dance floor, with gravity guiding the steps. Galaxies move apart, but gravity whispers reminders of connection, ensuring the dance does not fly apart entirely. Balance feels inevitable. The universe seems designed to find equilibrium. Yet as you linger with this image, subtle evidence begins to blur its edges. The universe does not appear to be slowing its expansion in the way gravity alone would predict. Instead of tightening its grip, gravity seems to be giving way, loosening its hands ever so slightly. This does not mean gravity disappears. It still gathers matter locally, still shapes galaxies and clusters. Stars continue to orbit, planets remain bound, and cosmic structures persist. Gravity has not failed. It simply does not dominate the universe's largest behavior the way intuition once suggested. You imagine gravity as a soft embrace rather than a command. It holds what is close, but releases what is far. On the scale of galaxies and beyond, space itself begins to take the lead. Expansion does not tear structures apart violently. It works gently, respecting gravity's local influence while quietly overcoming it across vast distances. This realization feels strange at first, like noticing your hands relaxing after holding something for a long time. You are not dropping it suddenly. You are simply allowing it to rest differently. The universe, it seems, is doing something similar. Gravity remains, but it no longer dictates the overall pace of expansion. Astronomers come to this understanding not through speculation, but through careful observation. They look at how galaxies cluster, how matter distributes itself, how structures grow over time. The patterns reveal a universe that should be slowing more than it is. Gravity's influence, while undeniable, appears insufficient to explain the expansion's behavior. You feel no tension in this discovery. There is no sense of contradiction or failure. Instead, there is a widening of perspective. Gravity is revealed not as the sole author of cosmic motion, but as one voice among others. The universe is more nuanced than a single force pulling the strings. Think of a river flowing gently downhill. Gravity guides its path, shaping its curves and pace. But imagine a steady rain falling into the river from above, adding water continuously along its length. The river may flow faster than gravity alone would suggest, not because gravity has weakened, but because something else is contributing quietly and consistently. In the universe, gravity is the slope. Something else appears to be the rain. This something does not clump or gather the way matter does. It does not form stars or glow with light. It does not announce itself directly. Its influence is felt only in the way space itself behaves, in the way expansion refuses to slow. You imagine space as a fabric laid gently over everything. Gravity pulls on this fabric where matter is present, creating dips and curves. But now you sense that the fabric itself carries a tendency to stretch, a subtle preference for expansion that does not come from matter at all. This idea feels delicate, almost philosophical. Can space have a behavior independent of what fills it? Can emptiness possess a kind of motion or pressure? The universe seems to answer not with words, but with behavior. Expansion accelerates, calmly and persistently, as though encouraged from within. You let this settle slowly, without urgency. The universe is not unraveling. It is not becoming chaotic. It is simply following rules that are broader than once imagined. Gravity still shapes the familiar. Something else shapes the vast. As you lie quietly, you feel how this mirrors your own experience of rest. Muscles relax not because they vanish, but because they release tension. Gravity does not disappear from your body when you sleep. It remains steady and reliable. But your awareness shifts. Other rhythms take over. In the same way, the universe seems to be shifting which rhythm leads. Gravity continues its patient work, but expansion hums beneath it, growing slightly stronger over time. The cosmos breathes out more freely than expected. This realization deepens the mystery without disturbing peace. There is beauty in discovering that the universe is more generous than predicted, more willing to open than to close. It does not rush toward collapse or stillness. It continues to make room. You imagine galaxies drifting like leaves on a wide lake. Nearby leaves may cluster briefly, drawn together by gentle currents. But the lake itself expands, its surface slowly widening, carrying everything outward together. The leaves do not struggle. They simply follow the water beneath them. Gravity learns to let go not by surrendering its nature, but by sharing the stage. It remains vital, shaping stars and galaxies, giving structure and form. But it does not command the universe's destiny alone. The future is shaped by a quieter influence, one that works everywhere at once. You feel a growing curiosity, still soft, still unhurried. If gravity is not enough to explain expansion, then something else must be present. Something subtle, something that does not pull inward, but gently encourages space to stretch. The universe does not name this influence yet. It only reveals its effects, leaving clues scattered across light and distance. You do not need the name now. It is enough to sense that gravity's hands have loosened, and that the cosmos is responding to a deeper, quieter invitation. You move deeper into the story of the universe, and now the calm begins to carry a quiet surprise. Not the kind that startles or disrupts rest, but the kind that arrives slowly, like realizing the night has grown darker while you were not watching. Everything still feels peaceful. The stars remain steady. Space continues to expand. Yet beneath that smooth surface, something unexpected reveals itself. Astronomers do not discover this moment by accident. They are listening carefully, measuring patiently, trusting light to tell its story. Their attention turns to special stars that end their lives in a brilliant, predictable way. These stars, known as supernovae, shine with a familiar brightness when they fade. Like lanterns placed at known distances, they allow the universe to measure itself. You imagine these supernovae as soft beacons flickering at the edges of time. They appear suddenly, glow intensely, and then fade back into quiet. Because their brightness is understood, their distance can be inferred. Light, once again, becomes a ruler made of memory. As astronomers look farther into space, they are also looking farther back in time. The light from distant supernovae began its journey billions of years ago, when the universe was younger. By comparing how bright these distant lanterns appear to how bright they should be, scientists can tell how much space has expanded since the light first left its source. At first, the results feel reassuring. Expansion is present, just as expected. The universe is growing. Space stretches gently, consistently. Gravity still seems relevant. Nothing feels out of place. But as more data accumulates, a subtle pattern begins to emerge, one that asks for careful attention. The distant supernovae appear dimmer than expected. Not dramatically. Not alarmingly. Just enough to suggest that they are farther away than they should be if the universe's expansion were slowing down. This faintness carries meaning. It whispers that space has expanded more than anticipated during the light's long journey. You let this idea settle slowly. The universe has grown more than expected. Expansion has not eased. It has accelerated. This realization arrives quietly, but it changes everything. The universe is not merely expanding. It is expanding faster now than it did in the past. The outward motion of space is picking up speed, not losing it. The calm breath of the cosmos is becoming slightly deeper with time, not shallower. There is no explosion. No sudden shift you could point to in the sky. Acceleration here is gentle, steady, and persistent. It is the difference between a walk that remains constant and one that gradually becomes a glide. Only careful listening reveals the change. Astronomers pause with this understanding, not in fear, but in awe. Gravity alone cannot explain this behavior. Matter pulls inward. It should slow expansion, not allow it to quicken. Yet the evidence is clear, carried patiently by light that has traveled across an expanding universe to speak. You imagine space as a vast plane, slowly stretching outward. Now imagine that stretching gaining encouragement, as though the plane itself prefers to grow. The universe is not being pushed from a single point. It is not exploding outward again. Instead, every region of space seems gently urged to expand more quickly than before. This idea feels almost personal. The universe appears to possess an inner tendency, a quiet motivation that does not rely on matter or gravity. It is as though space itself has discovered a rhythm it enjoys and is leaning into it. The shock of this realization is softened by time. It does not arrive as a sudden revelation, but as a gradual consensus built from many observations. Different teams, different telescopes, different methods all point toward the same conclusion. Expansion is accelerating. You notice how carefully this knowledge unfolds. Scientists question their tools, their assumptions, their interpretations. They test and retest. They do not rush. The universe, too, does not rush. It reveals its behavior slowly, allowing understanding to deepen without urgency. As you rest with this thought, you realize that acceleration does not feel aggressive here. It does not tear galaxies apart or disrupt local structures. Gravity still holds stars together. Galaxies still rotate calmly. Acceleration works on the largest scales, where distances are vast and time stretches long. It is a background influence, like a steady breeze you feel only when watching clouds move faster than expected. The universe remains serene. Its surprise lies not in chaos, but in persistence. This acceleration suggests that something fills space uniformly, something that does not clump or gather like matter. If it did, gravity would reveal it through structure and motion. Instead, this influence remains smooth, spread evenly across the cosmos, affecting space itself rather than objects within it. You imagine a quiet pressure present everywhere, like a gentle outward push that does not originate from any location. It does not point in a direction. It simply encourages space to open. This pressure does not diminish as the universe grows. It remains constant, perhaps even dominant, as matter becomes more dilute. The more the universe expands, the more this influence seems to matter. Gravity weakens with distance, but this effect does not. As galaxies drift farther apart, gravity's pull fades, while the gentle encouragement of expansion continues, unopposed. This realization feels both strange and comforting. The universe is not destined to slow into stillness or collapse inward. It is opening more freely with time, becoming larger, emptier, quieter. The future stretches outward, spacious and calm. You let yourself imagine that future without fear. Stars will grow more distant. Night skies will darken. Galaxies will fade beyond reach. Yet nothing about this feels violent or rushed. It is a slow drift into vastness, guided by an influence that asks nothing and announces nothing. Astronomers eventually give this influence a name, not because it is understood, but because it must be spoken about. Naming does not explain. It simply acknowledges presence. The universe has revealed a behavior that demands recognition. For now, you do not need the name. You can feel the effect. Expansion accelerates. Space itself participates in the universe's story more actively than once believed. Emptiness is not inert. It carries weight, not in mass, but in influence. As your thoughts slow, the shock of acceleration transforms into quiet wonder. The universe is more subtle than expected. It does not follow only the obvious rules. It holds something extra, something that works gently, persistently, everywhere at once. You rest inside this understanding, letting it cradle you like a widening horizon. The cosmos continues to expand, not in haste, but with confidence, guided by an unseen presence that reshapes the meaning of emptiness itself. You rest at the edge of understanding, where discovery pauses and language steps in. The universe has revealed a behavior that cannot be ignored, yet cannot be clearly explained. Expansion accelerates. Space opens faster with time. Something unseen is present everywhere at once. And now, gently, humans reach for a name. Naming is a human instinct. When faced with the unknown, you do not always name it to claim control. Sometimes you name it simply to acknowledge its presence, the way you might name a star or a feeling that keeps returning. A name can be a soft container, a way to hold mystery without squeezing it. Scientists choose the words dark energy, and the choice is careful. Dark does not mean evil or empty. It means unseen. It means not yet illuminated by understanding. Energy does not mean motion or heat here, but influence, the ability to shape how the universe behaves. Together, the words admit what is known and what is not. Dark energy is not a substance you can point to. It does not swirl or glow. It does not clump into stars or drift like dust. It reveals itself only through its effect on space itself. It is known not by what it is, but by what it does. You imagine dark energy as a presence that prefers quiet. It does not announce itself through light or force. It does not pull or push objects directly. Instead, it works through the fabric of space, encouraging it to stretch, to open, to make more room. The name feels like a pause rather than an answer. It says, something is here, without pretending to understand it fully. In that way, the name is honest. It creates space for curiosity rather than closing it. You notice how this mirrors your own experience of rest. When you cannot quite explain a feeling, giving it a name does not solve it, but it allows you to sit with it more comfortably. Dark energy becomes a word you can rest inside, a soft label placed gently on a vast unknown. Different metaphors arise to help the mind hold this idea. Some imagine dark energy as a pressure within space, like air filling a balloon. As the balloon grows, the pressure does not weaken. It remains steady, encouraging further expansion. The larger the universe becomes, the more space there is for this pressure to act. Others imagine a kind of cosmic tide, not pulling things together, but gently easing them apart. Unlike gravity, which gathers, this tide smooths and spreads. It does not rush. It simply persists, patient and uniform. These metaphors are not explanations. They are bridges. They allow you to feel the idea rather than grasp it tightly. Dark energy remains elusive, but not distant. It is everywhere, even here, even now, woven into the space around your body. One of the most surprising aspects of dark energy is how ordinary space becomes extraordinary. For a long time, emptiness was thought to be simply a stage on which matter performed. But now, space itself appears active. It has properties. It responds. It participates. You imagine lying in a quiet room, feeling stillness. At first, the room seems empty. But as you listen closely, you notice subtle sounds, tiny shifts, the presence of air itself. Emptiness reveals layers. The universe seems to be doing the same. Dark energy does not fade as the universe expands. Matter spreads thinner, gravity weakens over vast distances, but dark energy does not dilute in the same way. As space grows, dark energy grows with it, or perhaps belongs to space so intimately that expansion only gives it more influence. This idea feels counterintuitive, yet soothing. The universe is not running out of something essential. It is not becoming fragile as it grows. Instead, it carries within it a steady influence that supports continued expansion, quietly and reliably. You feel how this changes the story of the cosmos. The future is no longer shaped solely by the tug of gravity and the fading echoes of the beginning. It is shaped by something ongoing, something present, something that does not diminish with time. Scientists explore many possibilities for what dark energy might be. Some imagine it as a property of empty space itself, a kind of built-in energy that space cannot help but possess. Others wonder if it reflects a deeper rule of gravity not yet fully understood. Each idea opens new questions, new paths of thought. Yet none of these possibilities disturb the calm. The universe does not demand immediate answers. It offers clues slowly, inviting patience. Dark energy remains a placeholder, a signpost that says, "Look here," without insisting you arrive at a conclusion tonight. You realize that naming dark energy is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new way of listening. With a name, scientists can ask better questions, design careful observations, and speak to one another about what they sense but cannot yet define. And for you, the name offers a gentle anchor. It allows you to carry the mystery without strain. Dark energy becomes a companion thought, present but unobtrusive, like a quiet hum beneath the silence. As you rest, you feel the elegance of this humility. The universe does not yield its secrets easily, and humans do not pretend otherwise. They choose a name that keeps wonder intact, that respects how much remains unknown. The cosmos continues to expand, guided by this unseen influence. Space stretches softly. Galaxies drift. Light travels. And dark energy remains, unnamed in essence but acknowledged in effect. You let the words fade into feeling. Dark energy is not something to fear or solve right now. It is a reminder that the universe is deeper than its visible parts, that emptiness can be full of influence, that not knowing can be peaceful. The night holds you as it holds the stars, within an expanding space shaped by forces both familiar and mysterious. You do not need clarity to rest. You only need presence. In this view, dark energy is not an intruder. It is a feature. It is part of what space is, not something added later. The universe expands because space is the kind of thing that expands when allowed to exist freely. You feel a deep calm in this thought. The universe is not unstable or conflicted. It is following its own quiet tendencies. Gravity gathers where matter is dense. Vacuum energy guides where space is vast. Both coexist without struggle, each shaping reality at its own scale. Yet this understanding remains incomplete. Scientists can describe the effects of vacuum energy, but calculating its exact value leads to profound puzzles. Theoretical expectations suggest it should be enormously strong, far stronger than what the universe actually shows. Something softens it. Something balances it. The universe seems to know how to keep this energy gentle. You sense no frustration in this gap. It is simply another layer of mystery. Nature often behaves with restraint, revealing only what is needed for stability. The vacuum hums, but quietly. Its pressure is present, but subtle. Enough to shape the cosmos, not enough to overwhelm it. You imagine lying beneath the night sky again, aware now that the darkness between stars is not empty at all. It is full of potential, full of influence, full of a soft presence that touches everything without making itself known. This presence does not form shapes or boundaries. It does not have edges. It is the same everywhere, like a perfectly even temperature or a steady background tone. That uniformity is part of its power. Because it is everywhere, it affects everything. The universe expands not because something pushes galaxies apart individually, but because the space they inhabit gently grows beneath them. Galaxies ride this expansion the way leaves ride a slow current, moving without effort, guided by the water itself. You notice how this reshapes your sense of emptiness in daily life. Silence is no longer void. Stillness is no longer absence. Even rest contains motion at a deeper level. The universe mirrors this truth. Beneath calm, something always stirs. As your breathing slows further, you feel aligned with this subtle rhythm. Your body, too, is never completely still. Cells shift. Heat flows. Thoughts drift. Yet the overall sensation is rest. Space experiences something similar on a cosmic scale. The vacuum does not shout its influence. It whispers. It works over billions of years, not moments. It shapes destiny without urgency. This makes it perfect for the universe's long future, guiding expansion gently toward vastness and quiet. You begin to sense how dark energy, vacuum energy, and expansion may all be expressions of the same underlying truth, that space itself is active, expressive, and quietly alive with influence. The universe is not a collection of things floating in nothingness. It is a continuous fabric with its own behavior. This realization does not demand understanding. It invites acceptance. You do not need to solve emptiness to rest inside it. You only need to feel that it is present, supportive, and calm. The night feels deeper now, but also fuller. Between every star, between every thought, there is space that carries meaning without words. The universe expands from its own stillness, not rushing, not resisting, simply being what it is. You drift outward again, past objects and stories, into something quieter still. Here, the universe is not made of stars or galaxies, but of shape. Not shape you can touch, but shape you can feel, like the curve of a horizon sensed even with your eyes closed. The cosmos reveals itself as geometry, calm and patient, waiting to be noticed. Geometry sounds sharp at first, all angles and rules. But cosmic geometry is softer than that. It is the gentle question of whether space curves back on itself, stretches endlessly, or balances perfectly in between. It is the question of how the universe holds itself together, not with force, but with form. You imagine walking forward in the dark. If the ground curves upward, you might eventually return to where you began. If it curves downward, you could drift away forever, never circling back. Or the ground might remain flat, extending endlessly, offering no surprise turns, no hidden loops. The universe asks the same question of itself. Astronomers listen for the answer not by traveling outward, but by observing light. Ancient light, stretched and softened, carries information about space's shape. Patterns in that light act like faint echoes, revealing how geometry behaves across enormous distances. One of the quiet revelations of modern cosmology is that the universe appears flat. Not flat like a table, but flat in the geometric sense. Parallel lines do not meet. Triangles add up the way you expect. Space does not curve noticeably back on itself, nor does it bend away dramatically. It holds a delicate balance. This flatness feels restful. It suggests a universe without dramatic edges or loops, one that extends calmly in all directions. You can move forward forever without being guided back or flung away. Space offers continuity rather than surprise. Flatness also tells a story about energy. Geometry responds to what fills space. Matter curves it inward. Energy can curve it outward. The fact that the universe remains so close to flat implies a careful balance between these influences. Something counteracts gravity's inward pull on the largest scales. You remember dark energy here, not as a force, but as a presence that shapes geometry itself. It does not gather objects or form structures. It influences the stage on which everything exists. It helps decide whether space curves, stretches, or remains balanced. You imagine space as a perfectly calm fabric pulled gently from all sides at once. No wrinkles form. No folds appear. The fabric remains smooth, even as it grows. Dark energy seems to participate in this smoothness, guiding expansion without distortion. Measurements across the cosmos confirm this quiet consistency. Light from distant galaxies, patterns in ancient radiation, the distribution of matter itself all agree. Space behaves the same everywhere, following the same geometric rules regardless of direction or distance. There is comfort in this uniformity. The universe does not favor one region over another. It does not twist unpredictably. Its shape is simple, even if its contents are complex. Geometry becomes a kind of lullaby, repeating the same calm pattern across unimaginable scales. You feel how this shifts your perspective. The universe is not just expanding. It is expanding evenly, maintaining its shape as it grows. Dark energy does not distort space into strange curves. It preserves balance while encouraging openness. This balance is delicate. Too much curvature inward, and the universe might collapse back on itself. Too much outward curvature, and structure might never form. Instead, the cosmos hovers near flatness, allowing stars, galaxies, and life to exist while still opening toward vastness. You sense no intention here, only outcome. The universe does not aim for flatness. It arrives there through its ingredients and their interactions. Geometry emerges from content, quietly and reliably. As you rest with this thought, geometry becomes less abstract. It feels like posture. The universe has a posture, a way of holding itself upright. Dark energy influences that posture, keeping space extended without strain. You imagine lying on your back, spine aligned, muscles relaxed. You are not tense, not collapsing. You simply exist in balance. The universe mirrors this state on a cosmic scale, supported by forces that counteract without conflict. Listening to the shape of the cosmos requires patience. Geometry does not announce itself loudly. It reveals itself through patterns that repeat across time and distance. Scientists listen carefully, comparing observations, letting consistency speak. The result is a quiet confidence. Space behaves predictably. Its geometry remains steady even as expansion accelerates. Dark energy does not tear or warp the universe. It guides it smoothly, like a steady hand keeping a ship on course through calm water. You feel how this knowledge settles anxiety rather than creating it. An accelerating universe could feel unstable, but its shape tells another story. Expansion occurs within order. Growth does not imply chaos. Space can stretch without losing coherence. Geometry also hints at the future. A flat, expanding universe influenced by dark energy will likely continue opening, becoming larger and quieter. Distances will grow. Structures will remain locally intact while drifting farther apart globally. This future feels spacious rather than empty. Geometry provides continuity even as contents thin. Space remains space, familiar in its behavior, even as stars fade beyond reach. You return to the present moment, feeling the ground beneath you, the room around you. Geometry is here too, shaping your surroundings without asking for attention. The universe's vast posture echoes in the simple right angles and open distances of daily life. Listening to cosmic shape teaches you that reality does not need to be dramatic to be profound. Subtle consistency can shape destiny. Dark energy's greatest influence may not be how fast the universe expands, but how gracefully it does so. The cosmos becomes a quiet architecture, its beams and spans defined not by visible walls, but by relationships. Geometry holds everything gently, allowing expansion without collapse, openness without distortion. You feel ready to drift onward, carrying this sense of balance with you. The universe's shape is not a puzzle demanding resolution tonight. It is a reassurance, a reminder that even vast change can occur within calm structure. You let your thoughts move forward, not quickly, but with the same calm patience the universe seems to prefer. Time stretches ahead like a wide, quiet road, and you travel it without leaving your place. The future does not rush toward you. It waits, open and spacious, shaped by forces that work slowly and evenly. The universe's future is written not in sharp predictions, but in tendencies. Expansion continues. Space keeps opening. Galaxies drift farther apart, carried gently by the growth beneath them. Nothing snaps or breaks. Change arrives the way night deepens, gradually, almost kindly. You imagine looking up at the sky billions of years from now. The stars you know today have aged or faded. Some have ended their lives quietly, leaving behind faint remnants. Others shine on, steady and patient. But many distant galaxies are no longer visible. Space has stretched too much. Their light cannot reach this place anymore. This fading is not sudden loss. It is a slow thinning of connection. The universe grows larger, and in doing so, it grows quieter. Light still travels faithfully, but the distances become too great. Darkness spreads, not as emptiness, but as silence. One possible future unfolds this way, gently and endlessly. Expansion continues forever. Dark energy remains steady. Space grows without limit. Galaxies beyond a local group drift out of view. Each region of the universe becomes its own quiet island, surrounded by vast stretches of darkness. In this future, gravity still matters close by. Stars orbit within galaxies. Planets circle stars. Local structures remain intact. But the larger universe becomes increasingly unreachable, not through violence, but through distance. The cosmos grows calm and sparse, like a library where the shelves stretch so far apart that only a few books remain nearby. Another future depends on whether dark energy remains constant or slowly changes. If its influence grows stronger with time, expansion could accelerate even more. Space would stretch faster and faster, gently but persistently pulling everything apart. Structures would not be torn suddenly. Instead, bonds would weaken gradually. In this vision, galaxies would lose their stars, stars their planets, and eventually even atoms would drift apart. This ending is sometimes imagined as a great loosening, where connection fades at every scale. Yet even here, the process is slow. Billions of years pass between each stage. There is no moment of panic, only long patience. You do not feel fear in this thought. The timescales are so vast that urgency dissolves. The universe does not hurry toward this outcome. It approaches it the way a tide approaches shore, steadily and without intent. There is also a quieter possibility. Dark energy might weaken over time. Expansion could continue, but more gently. Gravity might regain some influence on the largest scales. The universe would still grow, but at a calmer pace, settling into a long, balanced unfolding rather than an ever-quickening one. In this future, stars still fade, galaxies still age, but space does not race ahead of them. The universe becomes old, not empty, filled with the soft afterglow of long-lived stars and the remnants of earlier light. Time stretches comfortably, without sharp endings. All these futures share something important. None involve sudden collapse or dramatic reversal. The universe, guided by dark energy, appears unlikely to rush inward again. The future is expansive, not constricting. It opens rather than closes. You notice how light plays a role in all these endings. Light carries information forward. It records what once was. As space expands, light's journey grows longer, its message is thinner. The future of the universe is written in how light moves, stretches, and sometimes fails to arrive. Even in the far future, light remains gentle. It does not resist expansion. It adapts. It stretches its wavelength, softens its energy, and continues on until space itself becomes too vast. Darkness, then, is not an enemy of light, but its natural companion in an expanding cosmos. You imagine future beings, if any exist, looking up at darker skies and wondering about the universe's beginning. Their observations would still reveal expansion. They would still sense dark energy through geometry and motion. The story remains readable, though fewer pages are visible. There is a deep comfort in this continuity. The universe does not erase its past. It carries it forward, encoded in structure, motion, and light. Even as things drift beyond reach, their influence remains woven into the present. As you drift through these possibilities, you realize that the universe's future is not a single destiny, but a range shaped by how dark energy behaves. Small differences in its nature lead to vast differences in outcome. Yet all unfold slowly, patiently, without violence. You feel no need to choose between these futures tonight. They are not choices to make, only stories to hold. The universe itself will decide, following rules deeper than current understanding. This uncertainty does not disturb rest. It enhances it. The future is not a threat. It is an extension of the present, guided by the same gentle influences already at work. Expansion tomorrow follows expansion today, unbroken and calm. You return to the present moment, aware that your own future mirrors this pattern. It unfolds one breath at a time, shaped by forces you do not control but can trust. Time moves forward. Change arrives. And still, rest is possible. The universe teaches patience through its scale. Nothing important happens quickly. Even endings are slow, spacious, and filled with quiet continuity. Dark energy does not rush the cosmos toward an edge. It opens room for long becoming. As your thoughts slow, the many possible futures blend into a single feeling: openness. The universe leans toward space, toward distance, toward calm extension. Whatever path it follows, it does so gently. You sense that the future is not something approaching you. It is something you are already inside, expanding with each moment, carried forward by the same unseen influence that guides galaxies and light alike. You settle back into the here and now, carrying with you the echoes of vast distances, ancient light, and gentle expansion. Everything you have imagined: accelerating space, unseen pressure, quiet geometry, possible futures, gathers softly around you, like a blanket of awareness that is neither heavy nor demanding. It is not a burden to understand. It is a comfort to sense. Questions linger, unshaped and unhurried. How does dark energy do what it does? Why does the universe prefer to expand rather than collapse? What subtle rules govern the vast fabric of space itself? These questions hover gently, like drifting feathers. You do not grasp them. You do not need to. They exist simply to remind you that the universe is wider than thought, older than memory, and deeper than comprehension. The calm of the cosmos surrounds you. Gravity continues its patient work in nearby galaxies. Dark energy stretches space, imperceptibly at first, then steadily, guiding the universe toward quiet openness. Light travels through expanding distances, carrying stories of beginnings, endings, and everything in between. All of it unfolds without hurry. You breathe in time itself, slow and rhythmic, like the pulse of an immense and sleeping body. You notice how the universe balances its extremes. Vast emptiness and concentrated matter, stillness and motion, presence and absence all coexist without conflict. Stars shine, then fade, galaxies drift apart, then cluster in gentle formations. Light travels, carrying the message of what was. Geometry holds everything together. Expansion continues quietly, calmly, persistently. The universe is orderly, even when it is mysterious. And yet, mystery is not a source of fear here. It is a form of companionship. Not knowing allows your mind to rest. It is the soft space between stars, the subtle hum of vacuum energy, the gentle push of expansion across infinite distances. These unknowns are not threats. They are part of the universe's rhythm, a quiet invitation to observe, to imagine, to feel the depth of reality without needing to solve it immediately. You imagine the night sky around you, unchanged yet subtly different from how you first saw it. Each star and galaxy is a note in a slow, cosmic melody. The light that reaches you has traveled far and long, carrying whispers from the past. You listen and find that there is no rush, no urgent message, only a calm continuity. Each photon is a gentle reminder that time and space are patient, and so can you be. Your thoughts drift to dark energy. Though you do not know its nature, you feel its influence through every measure of the universe's growth. It is everywhere, like air or quiet tension beneath sleep. You do not need to name it to sense its presence. The universe itself offers hints of something beyond the visible, a soft guidance that shapes the cosmic story. You rest within this awareness, feeling that the universe does not demand answers from you tonight. It allows incompleteness. It encourages patience. Each unanswered question becomes a pillow, a cushion for the mind to settle on. The unknown is not an absence. It is a form of fullness, a gentle presence that supports curiosity without forcing resolution. You notice that expansion, acceleration, and geometry all work together in a quiet harmony. Space stretches without tearing, matter continues to orbit without collapse, light travels without interruption. Even as you ponder distant futures where galaxies fade and skies darken, the calm persists. There is no chaos. There is no urgency. There is only steady unfolding. You imagine resting inside the universe itself, carried along by its rhythms. Gravity holds nearby matter in gentle arcs. Vacuum energy hums softly beneath it all. Dark energy guides the growth of space. Geometry supports every motion. And you are part of this quiet interplay, not separate, not in control, but comfortably within. The story of the cosmos does not conclude here. Expansion will continue. Stars will age, galaxies will drift, and light will travel longer than it ever has. Yet you do not need to chase the end. You need only notice that the present moment, and the present awareness of the universe, is enough. This recognition carries you into rest. You feel how the universe's vastness mirrors the inner calm that sleep allows. Questions do not need immediate answers. Processes do not require oversight. Light, space, and energy continue their gentle work, unhurried and persistent. This alignment between inner and outer quiet becomes a lullaby, each thought slowing, each breath syncing with cosmic rhythms. Even mystery becomes a comfort. Dark energy, the unseen pressure of space, the ongoing expansion, and the possibilities of distant futures are not obstacles. They are companions on your journey toward rest. They remind you that life, like the universe, can be vast, slow, and profoundly peaceful. As your body and mind begin to sink into sleep, you carry this awareness with you. You do not resolve everything. You do not know every answer. You do not need to. The universe itself rests in incompleteness, and by joining it in this state, you discover that unfinished questions can be gentle, that unknown forces can be reassuring, that vast distances can feel like home. You notice a rhythm emerging, subtle but consistent, like a heartbeat shared across scales. Light continues to travel. Space continues to grow. Time continues to unfold. And in this moment, you are neither separate from it nor responsible for it. You are simply a witness, cradled by the vast, quiet unfolding of existence. You let go of measurement, of expectation, of the need to understand fully. You are immersed in the universe's calm. Expansion, geometry, and dark energy are companions rather than challenges. You breathe with them, slowly, steadily, and with trust. The cosmos is patient, and so can you be. You notice how even unanswered questions have shape. They are not floating aimlessly. They rest softly, carried along by the same forces that guide galaxies, light, and space. They are like gentle echoes, present without pressure, inviting you to be still and aware. You feel how rest can be active and peaceful at once. The mind can witness vastness without strain. The body can float inside its own rhythms while the universe flows around it. In this state, knowledge and wonder exist side by side. Understanding is not complete, and yet you are complete enough to sleep. The night embraces you as stars fade and space stretches beyond reach. You are aware of the cosmic story, its unfolding, its balance, its subtle forces, without needing to act, change, or comprehend fully. This is enough. This is calm. This is the quiet that the universe offers to anyone willing to notice.